You've got a bazillion thoughts in your head when they say your life flashing before your eyes. Mine did.
So the
story that goes with this here, the guy found me on the computer. He says he come home from work and there was about 10 inches, 11 inches of snow on the ground. He said the grandkids coming out. He has to be to work. I think it was 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning down to the nuclear place in Saratoga. And he says the kids come in, Grandpa, he says, we got Bigfoot tracks in our yard, we got Bigfoot tracks in our yard in the snow. He said, I go out and play to leave Grandpa alone. The kids I don't think were any older, and I saw them both. Maybe one was 5 and the other might have been 7. So he says, that was that day. So comes that morning, he's got to get up. He always used to take his dog out to go potty. And his house, you come down 3 steps across his garage floor and up 3 steps onto a little deck. You open the door and there's a fenced-in yard with the deck with the dog.
Right.
The dog froze right at the door. Once he opened that door, he just froze over there. And he's a big part, I don't know, he's a good-sized dog. He's like at the front shoulders. And he said the dog froze. He said I'd boot him in the ass. He said he turned right around and backed up and went did his business in the garage and demanded to be back in the house.
Animals don't.
So he said, well, when I come home from work this afternoon, he said, I'm going to go look at these tracks. This is like 2 or 3 days after the kids. He went out and looked, he says, something just didn't look right about them. They looked like a big barefoot person going through the yard.
Through the yard.
So he lets, Christ, I want to say 2 months go by. I think it was in January he called me, and this happened in December, beginning of December, somewhere around there. And I can't even give you his first name, but we'll call him Roger. And he says, you got to come down. He says, I'm not going to say too much, but he said, if you're into Bigfoot stuff, he said, I want you to come down. So he told me where he lived. That's on the southeast side of West Mountain. Well, you pull up in his driveway, and he's got a garage attached to like a house about this size. We got talking about Bigfoot first, and then we got walking around the back of the house. He said, I just want you to walk the back side of the house with me. And he had me take the lead. And privacy fence is 8 foot, not 6, but 8 foot. Here's a piece of that culvert that they put in now. The state even used it. It's a heavy plastic stuff.
Yeah.
This piece is that big around, probably 20 feet long, 15, 20 feet long. You're talking 300 plus pounds.
Yeah, easy.
It was picked up and thrown, not dragged, because you got fence. It was thrown over the fence. Thrown, picked up and thrown.
Wow.
He said, there's no kids going to do that. He said, how the hell did they get it there to start with? Because his yard's all fenced in.
Yeah.
So anyway, then there was a big white pine tree right on the fence line. The limbs a lot bigger, snapped right off. And I said, no, this is the time of the year we get the wet, heavy snow. And I said, this time of the year, I said, the pine trees, especially white pines, are so brittle.
Yeah.
So he said, all right, just continue around the house. Well, I got right to the corner of his house, and where this was, that's his bedroom right there. And he said, we were woke up with, on the house, sometimes the dog would underneath the bed. You go. This happened quite a few times, I guess.
Wow.
And so he said, I got around the corner of the house, and I went, whoa! He said, you see it? I said, how could I not see it? What's that?
Yeah.
There was 3 other ones, but there was no way of getting a cast out of them because it was grass. Like I said, it was a time of the year where your sand was thawed in the day and frozen at night. Now that's the depth in sand that's probably thawed only roughly that far. And then it's frozen from that point down. That's the depth of that
So
thing.
what would you say it weighed, Brian, about? It's got to be 800 pounds, right?
700-800 pounds.
At least.
I had a doctor guesstimate it for me. He said, where the hell did you get that? I said, it's a cast I took. He said, no way. I said, can you give me an idea?
I cannot believe it.
But anyway, this thing, I marked it. We took a tote, put it over top of it with a rock on top of it to keep it safe.
Keep it safe.
I said, well, I'll come down and cast this. I said, I got to get some material, some good material. and come down and cast this. I said, when it's warm, so around 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a little
not in the
later.
morning, I mean the afternoon, 1 o'clock afternoon. It was warm enough to where it got the cast. I didn't know if we were going to be able to pull it out of the ground, but there's nails and some wire and everything else. What I do any cast, you got to bring nails and wire with you. You have to, something for that stuff to adhere to.
Yeah.
Besides
I didn't know
the
that.
ground.
So
Oh
you
hell
Pull it
yeah!
out.
And so now I'm on my hands and knees, and he says, "Go around the pool." And there's only about from here, from the kitchen cabinets there to here's an aisle that was down and down the pool, the other side of the pool, and you'd see toes, you'd see heels. Because it goes around, then it goes down like this. Now it's flat down there where he's got his burn pit and his chairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, going up out of that low spot, he had 3 and 3 cement blocks sitting on top of the sand, and 3 up here. And then it goes straight across his yard, across the whole length of his house and garage. And I got on, I'm looking at the blocks, and I said, holy shit. Where its heel hit the center cement block, the cement block was pushed down that far.
Wow.
So this thing just stepped from here, and every mate, of course, it didn't do it like you and I would, both steps.
Yeah.
And his heel hit that, because just in front of that, you could see, like, say if this is the edge of the cement block, out here where the toes were, and the heel was back here. So now I'm on my friggin' hands and knees, and his name. But anyway, he's going, what the hell are you doing? I said, this is the way I track them. I said, just like I do a deer. If you hit a deer and it's in the hardwoods,
Yeah.
on my hands and knees, I'm stretching my arms out. I tracked that son of a bitch all the way across the front yard to where it met up with the tracks at the kids' house. There's no snow now; it's all gone. And it got on the next guy's property, and then it got into the big white pine trees, and I lost it. Just those needles that give so damn much,
Yeah,
and all
yep.
of the old small dead tree limbs and shit.
Yep.
And we lost it. And that's, what's the name of that pond that's up in that direction where there were sightings? Butler Pond. There were sightings up in there. Now, he has probably called me since this incident 7 or 8 times. We got to get together. He said, they're still here. There's still one big one here. I don't know if he's got a cast, because he used to call me all the time. Now, this guy was way, way, way up in clearance with the military police. He was supposedly one of the guys that was out west. When the UFOs come over the air base out there and deactivated our missiles, he was one of the guys there. There was 45 guys on the base that night on patrol. We all saw the same thing.
Do you think that he may have information about what is going on?
He told me, he said, Brian, if I told you half... Hey, hon.
We're fine. We can edit this out.
He said, if I told you half of what I know,
Thank you.
Bye,
and half
Sue.
of what I've seen, he said, if I told you, they'd kill me.
I believe it.
He just retired a year and a half ago. And I thought for sure I'm going to get a hold of him myself, because I want to go back up in the Butler Pond. He says, I don't know what there is about this area, but remember we mentioned Josh and Heather that did that painting.
Yeah.
And they have all kinds of UFOs. This is where lives. Down the road about another mile, and over here is where Josh and Heather live. Word got around, and then people started coming to both Josh and Heather and go up to see, talk to them about things they've seen on the Northway, crossing the Northway. I could tell you stories involving police agencies that forced people, they were going to arrest them for getting off the property, where they had seen something and found out the cabin had been broken into, or tracks all over the place.
All over the place.
They were met by the Forest Department and by the state police. But, well, this is my father's place. Blah, blah. I don't give a damn whose it is. Get out of here. Get out now. Well, my truck won't start.
That's pretty scary.
And he told his buddies, he said, you go down and get your vehicle, get up here and get them a jump and get them out of here. He said, otherwise we're towing it out. This was just beyond Screw Lake.
With you, huh?
Just beyond Screw Lake. Another incident right there. No, I got away from this. But he has called me with several reports since then. He's an honest, clear-cut guy, and his wife is a non-believer from hell. She don't even want to look. She didn't even want to see the cast. I said, "Well," boy says, "you got something here that." He said, "I know I have." He says, "I have a true." He reads everything he can get on UFOs, especially Bigfoot. He is into it so heavy now, and he does now. He goes out and does investigations himself. But I wish like hell he'd call me.
Yeah, why? Do you have a group of guys that you go out with?
We used to have a good sized group, not no more, just me and my wife.
Hey, we'll go with you.
I'll go with you.
My wife.
If you want to go out
we have
to
a
West,
ton of equipment.
or wherever, if you want to go up to that pond, We'll go with you.
I should get a hold of Joe and try and set up an appointment.
I really want to go overnight. I want to be in the thick at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
You know, a lot of investigators, let alone, in my own opinion, we've had so many reports come out of up there in Hogtown where it's like people sitting around, they're up there camping. Someplace you can put a camper, someplace you can't, someplace you gotta have open fire, someplace you can't. But there's people up there all the time, hiking and all that bullshit. And you're more apt to see something at nighttime, sitting around a fire, having a few brewskis and shooting the shit. Not,
yeah, you're right.
Just being your plain old normal self. You're more apt to have.
I think they get curious.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Now, up in Lake George, on one investigation, my wife and I, Cliff South, Bell Brand, Cliff's, no, there was one other person. Oh, the other woman. But anyway, we had the cone with the microphone out like this stuff. It's flat here, and then you walk maybe 20 feet, and it goes up. Now, that's where her brother has got, 1,500 acres he leases. There's a big swamp in the back, and this, you got to realize, there's roads all over the place up in there going up along the West Shore. And I tell these guys that it was a damp, drizzly night, rain off and on, but I could hear. Start. I'm telling you, and I'm telling these guys, be quiet. I said, I can hear something. Of course, a B-52, a mosquito sounds like a B-52 bomber 100 feet up, right? I'm talking, I said, guys, I walked down, I said, come on, guys, you got to be quiet. And then Bill lets out one of his howls. I said, freak this shit. So I went up on top of the hill, and I'm down there. And I've got that cone out there, and I'm turning it back and forth. And down, it didn't sound any more than 100 feet away from me. Whoosh, and there's pine bottom. Of course, the pine trees are hanging down like this. It took a splash light every once in a while. I didn't see nothing. I'm going down the road. I'm heading towards the next campsite down. And I said, too much racket up here. And 150, 200 feet. It goes off the parking lot, goes,
yeah.
And where I was sitting in front of a tree about that big around, another bank is right there in front of me. It goes up over the top where I heard that sound.
Yeah.
So I got it and I put it up and I put it down. Put it up and put it down. And I picked it up. You could hear a branch or two, small branch snap in that. And I'm telling them, Jesus Christ, if you guys would have shut up, you know. Next thing I hear, boom! Found out the next day there was a rock about that big around, probably 60-pounder, thrown from the top over my head, and that bastard went down the bank. Boom, 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 boom. I knew exactly where I was sitting. I knew where the rock should have hit, and that's where it was, right in the bottom.
Wow.
Never heard a thing after that. I come up out of there, Cliff South and Sue were staying there. Did you hear anything? And she said, you were as white as a ghost. So then me...
But you loved every minute of it.
Oh yeah. Then me, Sue, and Cliff walked back down in. We went a little further and never heard nothing. I said, tell you guys, because of course we told Bill. Bill was the kind of guy, everything had to be his way.
His way.
And we go on an investigation, the bunch of us. I go by myself.
So I have a question. I noticed with these casts, are these from the bottom? So this would be the bottom of the...
That would be the
right?
bottom of the foot. Which
Yeah.
Why are they flat? There's no arch.
That right there, well, that's because when they walk, we walk...
On the arches, or on our toes and
we're
our
heel and toe. They're toe. When they usually, like one picture she had, which shows the most perfect track you've ever seen in your life. You could take a shoe off and put it in mud right here that's going to cast you. That's a track this person showed me. I said, it's too perfect. Too freaking perfect. Yeah. And it was in the same area where the other one of those casts in there were, what you just asked me. Oh, they get where the metatarsal break is when they step.
They have a break in the middle of their foot, right?
Right. This right here, where you should be kicked back.
So it's like a line.
So then the break, like Brian, would basically be in the center of the foot with the arch.
Right about, just below where this is.
And that's where the arch of our foot would be. It'd be like that.
So
you got the arch.
That's probably why they don't have an arch, because of that metatarsal
It's the
break.
they say, what's his name? It's on TV all the time about Bigfoot. It's because of their weight. They got to be flat-footed to carry the bulk and the weight.
Right. That's why. Yeah, like moose have flat feet. Most animals do.
But those two casts that are on the boards in there, those were last year.
And where, Brian, get most of those. I saw one of them. It looks like it's got
The two
4
that are
toes.
on anything are on Lake George, and the other two were right over here in Openville, just on the outskirts of Whitehall. Yeah, about 7 miles straight over there.
Pretty crazy though that you have them kind of right in your backyard too.
Yeah. Well, you don't see if you don't look.
Have you guys or maybe Brian has saw it? There's a video out where a guy on a dirt bike was within like 10 feet of it standing right next to a tree. It was pretty interesting. I don't know how true it was. I don't know if a buddy standing there in a suit. True. But it did look authentic.
I know there's some good videos out there. There was, I don't remember what video it was. I said that's the body of what I saw.
Right.
You couldn't see the head, you couldn't see the face, but the body. And I said, because the one I saw walked hunched, did not stand straight up, and I was walking forward. And it had the arms swinging, and those, the arms are about that much longer than mine.
That almost makes sense with how they're like
so big and bulky.
Physiology is described, you know.
So I have a question. What is your opinion on the Patterson gimbal footage?
Yeah, everybody's going to want to know what you think.
Well,
of
everybody
that.
asked me about that. I said, and what I tell them is, well, I said, how many thousands upon thousands of hours of athletes, hired athletes, and guys, big guys that do. They can't
recreate it.
They can't recreate it. They can't make the movements this thing made.
I was asking though, like if it looked similar.
Well, who died first? One of them died, and he said on his deathbed it was a hoax.
I think it was Patterson.
He said it was a hoax.
Yeah, they said they hired an actor to do it.
Yeah.
And that guy came forward, took a lie detector test, and passed it.
You know, the thing that bugs me though, okay, you look at the movies that were made around that time, assuming that was a fake suit. Whoever made that suit was light years ahead.
Light years ahead. They've said that. They said
plus
you could
the
not.
size of it, like, compared to its surroundings.
Artificial limbs added to your arms and stuff, possibly.
It was possible, but if that was a suit, whoever made it should get an Academy Award.
Yeah, really.
For special effects.
That was 67, they said, right? That film was made 1967,
late 60s,
68.
I think. But another thing too, they took all of the different copies of the film because obviously back then when
there's
you
the
developed
negative.
film, so
they broke it down.
They took all the layers and combined all the best parts, and they like cleared it up as much as they could. You can see the foot come in when it takes the step and swing back out before it puts down.
Yeah.
I know I had another guy I was friends with, an older guy, probably about your age, but while I was working for the DEC, he was from Messina, like Upper St. Regis area, where all those rocky peaks are.
Oh, yeah.
He says they're all over, and even he has a Bigfoot story too. But his was interesting because he said it was a baby, and he said it had a tail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He said he saw the baby up in the tree, and he said it had a tail like a monkey. And
that's odd because we've heard a story like that too.
Yeah. Well, honestly, what I'm thinking though, he maybe could have seen a fisher.
That's a possibility because they got the curly tail.
Yeah, they do. But then he said he saw it, and then he said he saw something big start coming like 40 feet. Like it was way up in the tree, a big hemlock, and he said it started coming down once he saw the baby sitting on it. He said he got it right out of there.
Oh shit.
But that was actually the first story I've heard of baby Sasquatch with a tail, so I don't know. It seemed interesting to me.
I gotta throw this one out there. You guys have got me on a roll now. I was tired and ready to curl and while I was sleeping. Now you got me.
Good.
Are you shit, now I forgot what I was going to say. Isn't that terrible?
It's alright, it'll come back to you.
I'm going back 20 years. Just come home from work, phone rings. Hello? Well, is this the guy that says he's seen Bigfoot? Is this that guy? I said, I was saying, don't waste my time, right? No, I could hear him, don't hang up, don't hang up. So I pick it back up. I said, what do you want? He said, I got a video you're going to want to see. And I said, really? He said, I'm not going to tell you any more than that. And he said, here's my address. He said, I hope you come down. This guy's got something he don't know what he had.
What he had.
He studies these some kind of altars that they had years and years ago. The season, depending on the altar, will tell you what season it is and all that stuff. The rocks are aligned just
like
right.
Like from native?
Yeah. He has studied them all the way from, and he's a pilot. And he said the only way you can find them, let alone study them and track them, is from the air.
From the air.
Well, he had this one big place over in Argyle, over near Summit Lake somewhere. He didn't specify. Where you're looking at the lay of the land. where the camera was, you say looking straight like that. There's a little bit of roundness. It goes so far and it drops down in, then it goes like this. And then this down here is flat. And one of those stone walls that they built years and years and years ago, they're so well built, they're like Keystone bridges.
Yeah,
right.
They used to run donkeys and burros on top of them. So I'm looking at the film. And I'm looking. You can see all the where he's got the sticks drove in with the orange tags on them with numbers, where they're going to be digging next, and this is going to follow. It's all mapped out. I think a fifth, sixth time I said, oh, stop it right there and pack it up. Now you guys haven't told me anything. I want you to see what we see. Now his 10-year-old grandson just happened to be watching that tape 2 days before he called me. I said, Grandpa, what's that?
So the grandson found it?
The grandson found it on that film.
Wow.
This is one of the old-fashioned camcorders, right?
Camcorders.
Not like,
I have one in the
but
truck.
nothing's blurry.
Yeah.
I said, holy shit. You look and you can see the stone wall, and you see this thing goes, what the hell? Did I look over here? This thing is this far above the stone wall. The stone wall was 7'6" from the ground to top of the stone wall.
Had to have been 9, 10
Wait a
feet.
minute.
10 foot.
Then you see movement, and it looks like a maple tree, or I know it wasn't oak, but it's a hardwood tree with leaves on it. You see this thing come down, stand up on the stone wall, and go just like this. He's walking, going. Throws this leg around the neck of the thing standing on the other side, like giving your kid or grandson a piggyback ride.
Yeah.
Turns and just goes, disappears.
Wow.
We won, and this guy got all on film, and me and Bill tried our damnedest for a month to get lawyers involved so we could get a copy of the tape. Everything we tried to get because we wanted to get a copy of the tape. Take us to the spot. We want to see if we can get DNA. We want to see this.
Yeah.
No, we don't want them bothered.
Those are the people you were telling me about, right?
Those are the kind of people. Yeah, but he at least let me see the tape. I attested to it. I can attest to that tape. And he said that tape was 5, 6-year-old, and the grandson happened to find it when they were watching that tape.
Wow.
I said, I said, there you've got the best proof. It's better than the Patterson file as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Because you got the small one coming down out of the tree, and this is out the freaking boonies. You know, it's like...
Is it a matter, though, that they just don't want to be called crazy?
They don't want the stigma?
No, he has not. Because he was in, you know, when he called me, he said, no, you saw what you saw. He said, I'm not saying you didn't, and I'm not saying you did. And I said, well, nobody can tell me that I saw a dancing bear from the circus. I said, the bear couldn't do the distance to start with. They're not built for that kind of walking.
Yeah.
But this thing, I could see the muscle structure and everything and moving. You know, it's just like a power lifter when they're walking. You see the muscles.
Yeah.
I could see all that. I could see all that. This is the way Abair Road goes. It goes... I'm starting where its trooper was. It's somewhat level right here. There's, of course, all the houses out there weren't even there then. And then it goes around the turn and goes down and up. The trooper's out in this field right here. And then you go down the road and come up on the next flats. There used to be there's pine trees planted there now, Christmas trees, wherever they are. There was a gateway. That's what I drove quite a ways out into the field and parked my vehicle. But it came out to him first, and then I heard him. All I heard him saying was, Brian, what the fuck? What the fuck? I said, I'm getting out of here. I said, he's busting my ass. But all in the same time, same instance, I knew he wasn't bullshitting.
Yeah.
But something's telling me, you know, he's got to go. He's either got to call or got to leave.
He tore out. Right?
But we had heard, because you got the Poultney River down here. If this line's the Poultney River, the woods come way up like this. Like these are all meadows out towards the roads, and this is all thick. It's just like being in the Amazon down here. Anyway,
Yeah.
it truly is. You'd have to see this place to do the whole strip between West Haven and Whitehall, and we could hear what sounded like maybe once in a while a dead branch, but it sounded like trees being snapped.
Right.
We found that a couple of days later. Yeah, there was coming up through snapping stuff that big around, you know, 6 feet off the ground, snapped right over, laying all in the same direction, going towards the road. Now, the night before is when my brother, my father, Mark Kinney, 2 Washington County sheriffs, 2 New York State troopers, all saw the same thing, but not at the same time, because the outside of the road got a swampy area here, hill, meadow, valley, goes over here, goes across the fence, and it's a huge meadow. Just see when you get down there. And everybody's parked in a different spot. Of course, the other troopers, they denied seeing nothing. Only one sheriff admitted seeing something.
I'm sure that they've all...
No, because they were worried about their jobs.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, that's when we heard all this snapping and stuff and blah blah blah. Where he back and forth. Brian, did you hear that? Yeah, I can hear it. I'm in the meadow, roughly 2,000 feet from him. It's the same. It just comes up like this. This is all field over here, but there's a peninsula. Like it comes up and gets smaller and smaller, going down that hill. So he took off. He blows by me like he hell bent for leather. Then I started hearing what sounded like, and the way I always describe it, the way when I tell this, it sounded like somebody wearing corduroy pants and their thighs rubbing together.
Yeah.
Now the field was dry hay that hadn't been cut, and he said the hay was up, and I hear whoosh, whoosh, dead silent. I mean, that place was so dead silent in farmland in August. No tree peepers, no killdeers, no peepers, nothing.
They say that like whenever Sasquatch is
animals
around,
know.
The frogs, everything, the birds, silent.
Well, that whooshing noise would start and stop. Then I heard what sounded like, and this is the reason I remember this, because people think, boy, he's got an awful lot of, I guess you'd say bullshit. But down across here to this marsh out here, when we were kids, we used to go down there. My dad said, "Oh, we used to smoke them cattails when they get dried out." So we go. He was yanking our chain. We went down, mind Jesus. We got the dry cattails up there. But anyway, but the dry cattails, that makes that certain sound. But down in the center of that field, I think there's still some there. There's only a little tiny stream about that wide from the runoff. You know, like in the spring of the year, you got a lot of water in it. The rest of the time, there's just a trickle. But there's cattails down there. And I heard that noise. Jesus Christ, that sounds like cattails. And I got the spotlight like this. Now I'm up on the hill, and this goes like that. So I heard the whooshing noise for the last time, and that's when I got this.
Goosebumps.
The goosebumps.
Cold chills.
You know, I get them I sort of like relive this sometimes. This was something said, "Turn your light on now," and I did, right straight off the corner of my passenger side of my car. There's this freaking creature standing there, man. And it's like all I can explain is a feeling like hot honey being poured over you. Your body feels like it's going to spontaneously combust. You've got a bazillion thoughts in your head when they say your life flashing before your eyes. Mine did. I mean, from my childhood all the way up, I think I was 24 years old, 26 years old. Everything that I'd ever experienced in my life was bang, that quick. Now I'm thinking, what the hell is it? It's not this, it's not that, it's not this, it's not that. I got the gun there, I got the hammer pulled back. No wonder it didn't go off by accident, for Christ's sakes. And as soon as I hit it with the light, that's when it brought its hands up like this. Hands, not paws. I could see fingernails. They went on and on and on about the old hair and everything else. And all this time, you've got all these crazy ass thoughts going through your head. You're thinking aliens, you're thinking man in a monkey suit, you're thinking this. Well, anyway, when it put its hands down, turned to its left. So when I see the hair hanging down, just like on a orangutan, it's the only way I could ever explain it. And now it's got its back to me. I could see the cheeks of its butt. I could see all the muscle structure on its back, and the hair was rolled in this way. It didn't go down, it was rolled in, and I could see twigs, leaves, like it had been laying down, a lot of clay down there, like I told you, and it's probably laying in the clay or nesting, whatever you want to call it. And we disturbed it, or why it was still there from the night before, or if it was the same one. And but I could see the muscle structure work and everything else. And I remember several people, did you see breast? I don't care if I had breast. No, I didn't see any. Was I looking for breast? No. Did you see the male organs? No. I wasn't looking for male organs. I'm looking at something that don't exist, and yet there it is right there in front of me. And like I said, the way to try and describe it is, it'd be like you being out in the woods and spaceship lands right there, and an alien gets out, and you're looking at it.
Yeah, and trying to make sense.
You're gonna have feelings and stuff that you don't even know you've got.
Yeah.
I kid you not. Every part of your body is. Like I said, every once in a while I get really emotional because I've relived this thing over and over for a long, long time, not being able to sleep and everything else. But I've come to the cause that they're here for a reason. And the reason I say that is when Seth Breedlove, the movie he did, you can text it on this. Seth Breedlove is his name. It comes up. He did a documentary out there with me, and he had his viewing of the movie, the documentary down at the Whitehall Armory. And I was the first one set up on the right. Of course, nobody knew who the hell anybody else was. And as usual, there wasn't nobody from Whitehall there.
Yeah.
Everybody was from way out of town and everything else, up in your neck of the woods. But anyway, he was an Indian shaman.
Yep.
And he comes in, he puts his hand on the cast on the first cast in there.
Do you know, was he,
My wife could tell you. My wife could tell you. Little short, stocky guy, long hair. You could tell he was Indian just by looking at him. When he says, he don't know me from Adam because there's too many people. We've never met. He stares at me just like this, right square in the eyes. He never blinked, neither did I. And he says, this is a female. And she wants you to let you know they're here to help us, not hurt us, but they want to be left alone. And the night, and that made sense to the point where when I saw this thing, I watched it go down the whole length of the field, go back where the fences, this one and this one goes together, and where that gateway was. I watched it go in the woods and it turned back around because I had it in the spotlight all the time. Turned back around and I mean, deep, 3 of them. And that's when I sort of like had a feeling of calm. I got the feeling, just leave us alone.
You felt like it wasn't going to hurt you.
I knew it wasn't going to hurt me because if it wanted me, it probably would have had me.
It could have.
And I just thank God because everybody said, what if there'd have been another one there? It probably would have been behind me, and if they wanted me, I'd have been had, you know? I'd be a pile of dung in the pucker brush here somewhere.
So Brian, the night you saw it, you were running traffic control?
No. I was doing, that was the night before.
The night before.
When my brother Paul and
So
Marty
you didn't see it that first night?
I didn't know, just those other guys, the troopers, the sheriffs. No, I went out second night off duty. That's what Jim said, let's go out and see if we can see a Bigfoot.
So there's some things that the other documentaries kind of make fuzzy, and I don't know if it's because of the way they edited it, but the timeline that we kind of had in mind, or they had, I don't know, fabricated or whatever, it made it seem like you were out doing traffic control.
They've got everything screwed up. 90% of the books and stories written about it, that's why we wrote our book.
Right. And
that's
we
my
want
story.
to tell like your true story, how everything happened. So one of the documentaries had mentioned that it was either you or one of the other cops had ran into a bunch of kids who claimed to have seen him run across the road.
Yes.
Was that just
that
complete
a
fabrication?
farce?
That could have been something else, but it sure the hell wasn't out there. There were so many people claimed being out there seeing it that night, which didn't happen.
Yeah.
It shown the cops and the sheriffs pouring in their red lights and siren. Never happened. It's just like I said, even the first book written, Monsters of the North Woods, we've got a copy here, which you can't get anymore. We've got a copy, and I've outlined everything in that whole incident. Didn't exist. They've had me in one book. They've had me as a sheriff. They've had my father as a captain. My dad was a sergeant. I was a patrolman. They just
jumbled up
put
the
the story
facts.
in a grinder and ground it up and just
They
trying
put
to
it
make
in the
it
way
more
they
interesting.
wanted it to sound instead of what was truthful enough.
Right, like I told him, I said 90% of the stories I've read that other people have written about the incident, they weren't even there. There's pertinent information there that's not even in the story.
Yeah.
And I don't
so
know,
things are missing, and then things are added that aren't true.
Well, that's why we wrote Abair Road, the true story. That's my story. I had the encounter. The other guy saw it. That's what it boiled down to. But the night before, I was working traffic control. I had radar going, and you get when you work nights, it sounds like different cars and trucks and stuff. And I knew. I said, "That's Marty. That's Marty trucking. He's trucking. He's going to get his ass in trouble." Man, he come in and pull right in next up. Goes, Brian, this is my brother Paul. Brian, we just saw something, a monster out there in Abair Road and blah blah. I said, you guys been doing a little bit of, and that's exactly what I said, and a little bit of this. No, he said, honest to God, Brian, he says, Marty goes, we saw something. So they took off. There used to be a Petco station right down here in Whitehall where the used car, or the little car lot is for Ross's now. And Bart and Brett, your twins, they ran the place at nighttime. They went and picked Bart up, and they headed back out. And I said, so I called my dad. My dad was just getting in the door, because I'd only been on duty since it was a little after midnight anyway. And I knew Dad would still be up. And I give him a call. I said, what do I do? I said, I can't leave the village. He says, call the troopers, call the sheriffs, send them out there, because we're only, if I want to drive fast, I'd be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're only 10, 15 minutes
15
from the
minutes
spot.
out, yeah.
And he said, tell them I'll meet him out there. And that's when all that had transpired, because Paul and Marty thought the woman was, or there was like a pig squeal. And then they this, that, and that's when they come into the village anyway, looking for me. Right, or being my brother, he knew I worked nights. And I said, I can't go out, but I said, I'll call Dad. And that's, they had their own to do. I know they tracked it in that one field, and they stepped over the fence. The fence is about that high. It's a fence around the meadow.
That's insane.
Just stepped over it. And then I got thinking, I've asked questions to myself. And the troopers up here and roughly 1,500, yeah, 2,000 feet away. I'm over here. Got all this area to cross the road and go into the field where it was that night. Why did it come to me? And that's when that shaman guy, he used a word about that long, and I've heard the same word several times. He says there's people that are born that are meant to see certain things that other people won't see.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I don't know the word, and I should have write it. I should write it down. But I've had several people tell me that there are people out here that are meant to see certain things. So I don't know. I mean, I damned it for a while. It was a had to have my phone number changed.
Yeah, you didn't
I threw the goddamn news media out of my house. I worked nights, and they're banging on my door at 8 o'clock in the morning, getting me up, waking the kids up and shit. They get out of my house and leave me alone and da. But then I just went for a long time. I never talked about it. Certain people I did, yeah. My dad, my brother Paul, Bart. And in fact, I see Bart 3 years ago, did a motorcycle ride with a whole big group for a guy that passed away. And I hadn't seen him since 1976, and this was only 6-7 years ago. He said, you still in that Bigfoot? He says, I'll never forget who we saw. I know, I says it, but so when I really did get into it, start getting into investigation, I just didn't even do them for the longest time.
I was just about to ask you, Brian, when was it that you actually got into investigating to try and find out what you saw?
Oh, he's probably 1985.
So you
almost
waited
10 years.
Almost 10 years
yeah.
after.
So you were pretty quiet for 10 years. You tried to not talk about it. And...
Well, I can imagine.
Well, I can imagine.
I didn't mind talking about it, as long as the person wasn't there to poke fun. Because my whole family got made fun of. I says, all right, you got 1, 2, 3 Goslins involved.
Yeah.
They made fun of all of us. Then they make, well, they come from a poor family. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because we did. We were poor when we were growing up, really poor.
That doesn't make you
crazy.
crazy.
10 friggin' kids. And I said, the point being, I says, and I burned the guy's ass. Oh, I burned his ass. This same guy, he still does it. He does whittling and carving, and he's really, really good. He's a damn good artist. Well, next thing I know, he's selling pictures of Bigfoots. In his mind, he's whittling little Bigfoots and selling them at they had an Indian powwow. They used to have one down here in Whitehall in the park. I love those things. I love to watch them dance and stuff. Cool. Crazy, man. I love it. And they were set up down the other end, and like I said, he was a hell of a whittler. He had Bigfoots whittled from that side down, and there was a lady at the desk and another lady over here at the desk looking at these things, pick them up, look at the price. I'll mention his name. I said, hey, bud, how you doing? Yeah, Brian, how are you? I said, I'm good. I said, you know the odd thing about the whole ordeal is? He said, what's that? You're one of the ones that used to make fun of us all the goddamn time about Bigfoot, and here you are making a few bucks off of the whittled stuff and everything else, and paintings even.
Isn't it messed up?
He walked away. The people walked away.
Changed around.
Don't you ever do that again. I said, every time I see you set up like this and I'm involved, I'm going to let people know.
You almost changed the culture.
I feel like you did.
Of the area.
I feel like
well, they say that's what put Whitehall on the map.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So they
absolutely.
Said,
I feel like you had a big part.
You know how many people have come to me and say, you know, you shouldn't even have to work for a living no more.
For real.
And he says, I don't have Animal Planet coming to me, knocking on my door like the Klan.
You should.
That gets $4,000 per episode and everything bought and paid for.
But you know what, Brian? No matter what, whoever's knocking on your door, that's a big production, they're going to narrate that stuff exactly the way they want.
Exactly. That's why our book is copyrighted.
So
they can't change anything.
Where can you get your book? Can you get it online?
Well, you haven't got one?
Well,
we wanted to know if
like,
anybody
Amazon.
that we know
Amazon.
is willing to order it.
Yeah, we sell them at the Big Apple Diner, but they've been closed until tomorrow.
So we'll put a
Major
link
electrical.
on Amazon on our
Yeah,
video.
so people
Yeah,
can buy it.
they
They
can
see the
go
video.
So
We
they can
always,
kinda buy
when
it.
you guys do that, our book sales go up. We've probably sold, I don't know, close to 3,000 copies.
Wow, that's really good.
That's what I was going to say.
I've had phone
My
calls
guess.
after that book come out. One was, this is true too. I had phone calls from Michigan,
Yep.
Scandinavia,
Wow.
Switzerland,
Wow.
not Germany. I said, holy shit. But this one guy was laying in bed, sound asleep, 2:30 in the morning, phone goes off. What do you think? Somebody in your family's hurt or dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hello, this is Brian Gosselin. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for publishing that book. Goddamn Lieutenant Colonel in Arizona that runs the air base out there.
Oh, shit.
Originally from North Creek.
Wow. Wow, that's cool.
Oh my God, he said, we got to get together sometime. I said, well, I'm not coming to Arizona. And I says about an experience he had with his grandfather. Way back when, way up north. He said, oh, thank you so very much. I says, but there's so many people that thank me for thanking us. Sue did the writing. It's my story, but thanking us for writing the book because of experiences they had, and I dare put it in print.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian, yeah,
for your
Oh,
time.
you leaving?
No. We just want to thank you for sitting down in front of the cameras.
I get them all. That's no problem. Best way to go out through the field here is probably right here. Usually deer trail here, what there is. This is where I was, where my car was parked, right here. Yeah. Roughly right here, because I wasn't headed downhill at all. Just listen for a minute. Make no noise. Excluding them birds.
everywhere.
There was
Get
nothing.
them this way, that way.
There was nothing. No peepers, no nothing. You come out here at nighttime and the sounds, the killdeers and the peepers and what you call it, so you even got frogs down there. But it roughly came out of, I would say, second telephone pole, where the guy's shed is where it came down out of, right there. We backtracked. But the trooper was above that in that field up on top. So you can tell the distance between us. So if that thing wanted to go by me and avoid me, all I had to do was go any place over there. But it came all the way across, down into I'm like this. This hill was not like that. I'm shooting over its head. You can see where the cattails were. I mean, this place has changed a lot, but there are still cattails here and there. I can hear it come through the cattails because I knew that sound. And the whooshing noise was the dry grass this tall. And I remember saying I had the door open. I took my dome light out of my car so I could have the door open with no light on.
Yeah, without killing the battery.
No, without that. So I got no light at all in my, and I'd spotlight every once in a while over there and all that stuff, and it would start and stop the whooshing noise. And then I realized if somebody else brought it to my attention, he said, "Were you shooting over the head of the goddamn thing?" I said, "That had to be what it was." But when I turned it on, it was about over there, roughly 30 feet on that angle right there. Wow. And it was just.
It's like right down the hill.
It wasn't down the hill, it was all the way up on top. Oh.
Yeah, it was up here with
See
him.
the legs, the whole 9 yards. Keep going. You're good. Roughly right there.
Wow.
But like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, way bigger. Look how tiny Anthony looks out there.
5'10"?
5'8.5".
Put another 1.5 foot on that anyway. Close to 2 feet.
Way up then.
That's crazy.
And I got a 250,000 kilowatt spotlight on it. Or the gun in my hand like this, shaking like a freaking leaf, and spotlight on it. Down here, as far as a nighttime, You don't want to be listening off in that direction, anywhere off in that direction. Because it's just up over the hill there, because this riverbank runs all the way up through. And it comes back around and does this all the way up to Carver's Falls Dam. But this water is roughly 6 feet lower than it was back when I was a kid.
Right.
And she said that they were on that side, the New York side, fishing in here for catfish at night. About 2 o'clock in the morning, they kept hearing splash. They figured a beaver.
Yep.
No, something that was up on that bank over there. It's got to be, oh shit, 50, 60, 70 feet to the water. Throwing great big rocks down off the top, throwing them. Down here, we suppose they had, these are different stories. And of course, they're down there partying, don't get me wrong. I got nothing against anybody having a few brewskis, but it was just like they would have had to have a catapult or a giant slingshot, rocks like this coming off out of the woods on the other side, down here where everybody fishes. And they just said, to hell with this shit. So one just missed the guy's windshield, just barely missed the vehicle. And he said they got the hell out of there, and they said they haven't been back. A lot of them that fished down here back years ago don't come back no more.
Brian, what do you think our chances are of finding the footprint? Slim?
Well, I'm looking. I'm scanning the ground.
You're gonna find footprints.
This looks like a deer almost.
Down here, but I don't see that.
Oh yeah, what the hell? That looks like toes, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's too narrow. Too narrow.
Dang.
Yeah, it is way too narrow.
But that's like a...
It does look like a heel and a toe
yeah, it does
mark.
look like a big heel.
Get some footage of it,
Look at this one.
case, but... I don't know, man.
That's pretty
That
wild.
don't look too bad either. Who the hell's to say?
Yeah. You see this right here? See the shape of the foot?
Well, this would be a right foot. If
This would be a left.
This one would be a left one, yeah.
That's pretty big. I don't know.
I don't know. These literally look like toe marks. Like I can count 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but they're too
there's-
clustered.
Yeah, true.
They'd have to be a lot farther apart
True.
than that. I say, you never know.
Oh, this is nice.
Wow.
This is the spot where it came down. This all changed because it was all that gray stuff. It'd be in that hole right there, right in that hole.
That's where you see it slide down?
That's where it came down from the Abair Road incident. Gun Rose, that's where Gun Rose got the original cast, was up on top here, and that's where I found the one cast that Bill's got
Right.
of the front, where it's on the bank and it's all the toes are exposed like this. It was crazy. Because I remember we didn't go beyond that dip, because that's the marsh back in there, and that creek comes down through there, that comes out of the field, all the fields up there where we just were.
How far does this go down, Brian, this way?
From here,
Yeah,
walking the lay of the land, 3 miles.
3
or so.
miles.
So it all goes all the way to Carver's Falls Dam. There are people that used to fish here that don't even come down here anymore because there's just too much shit. You go up over this hill and beyond, there's another humongous freaking swamp. But you get over here and get down there a ways, this swamp runs for miles, and it's, like I said, probably half a mile wide at most spots.
It really honestly seems like most of the sightings are found around swamps.
Water substance, whatever, but
Well, that and I mean, depending on what they eat too. I know that moose feed in areas like this a lot, and they feed on the underwater vegetation.
I had one lady at the over to Rutland asked me, what do you think Sasquatch eats? I said, any goddamn thing he wants.
Yeah, probably.
This is what I said too. They all busted up and cracked up laughing.
I'd imagine that if for our ecosystem to be able to support them, they would probably have to be omnivorous.
They've got, they've got their routines just like you or I do. You know at certain times of the year where to go to get
certain things.
certain things, not
yeah.
that happy horse shit, like with the deer spawning now.
Deer spawning.
The deer spawning now. Hey, I'm using it. Me and my wife will come down here and take the ride, and this is what we end up stopping doing. Right here.
Well, I want to get on the fun now.
Wow, there's some really flat rocks around
Oh, yeah.
here.
It's all shale.
Is that what they call this?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Look at that. Look at first toss across there, you got 5 or 6 hops.
Dad knows how to. Nice. There you go. Come on, Brian, give your best hoop.
I can't. With my throat stuff the way it is.
Can't do it.
I think I could. I'd probably sound like a dying rabbit.
No matter. He might come out think it's a dying rabbit and want something to eat. So have at it.
You know, we've talked about doing that before, getting one of those fucking game call things, and I'm like, you know what? Probably calling a pack of coyotes.
Yeah, a pack of coyotes or some
I
goddamn
don't know,
thing.
quite a few people that were looking for vocalizations found what they were looking for.
That's the irritation. We did do that one night. Almost to God, we were up in Daisy Clearing, up in Lake George. On the shore up back in Hogtown.
You can't do it, dude.
Son of a bitch.
No way.
We did the vocalization. Next thing, way off in the ditch, you could hear coyotes. He started going ape shit.
Really?
So we did it 15, 20 minutes. We did some tree knocks and played them again. Now the coyotes are answering. They're even closer. I said, no more of that. Well, no, 3 of us had guns anyway.
No,
Yeah, really. No, they're big mountains there. They're not like the northern Adirondacks, but they're still big mountains. I figured I'd stop and let the kids play for a while.
Yeah, me
behave,
too.
Behave on the way home.
Tire us out.
What the hell is that? Yeah, there's snail.
Little snails.
You guys, when you were walking out, see all those snails up on the road up there?
Yeah.
Holy Jesus.
This is fucking
What do the French call this? Escargot?
That's our goal. Go ahead, eat it. You got a French in you?
Have at it.
Probably somewhere. I'm a mutt.
Over there is the bridge that goes north out of Whitehall. Route 22.
Route 22.
Out of Whitehall. It crosses South Bay.
Yep.
Right across that way, up into the mountains. There, the Black Mountain is off this way. But you get over that mountain range, it's the next big mountain range. Clear over into Hogtown, headed towards, damn it, West Mountain.
Yep.
It's almost, if you could put it on a map, it's just a wiggly road is where these things have been. On this corner over here, when you cross the South Bay Bridge in Whitehall, you cross on that side, it's a long sloping turn. You've had 2 guys from the county plowing snow, had 2 state troopers one night, a deputy sheriff another night, all seeing stuff, but it all stems to come from this direction headed that away.
That away.
And it all goes over towards West Fort Ann, Hogtown, the east shore of Lake George, and that's where we get 90% of our stuff.
Just between here and there.
Yeah.
Well, seeing those casts, like I was telling these guys, it was like it's got me excited.
No, until you see them in person, you know, like you said, a photograph don't do them shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I got most pictures when we find a cast in the woods or something, we usually bring a tape measure or something, stretch it out, and
for
put a stick in for a reference, you know, and stretch it out so they can tell. And same thing with the width.
Well, yeah,
and that one big cast, I went all the way around it, where the stick to get into the sand a little bit, about this far out, the whole thing. I said, that guy Joe taped the whole goddamn thing. I said, I don't want anybody thinking I made this big.
Yeah.
But that worked out well.
Yeah,
but I do have to get a hold of him and see if I'm quite sure he'd be up to it. Take us back in there.
Yeah?
And where he goes. And he said, because it was last time I spoke to him was probably close to a year ago. He said, Brian, they're still here. But you want to, we'll go head back that way a ways?
Yeah, sure.
This should be halfway decent walking, guys.
Good.
Oh, cool.
Let's move in.
Well, he had a Bigfoot on his porch on 2 different occasions. And to get on that porch, he said that thing had to go. There's the porch. And that is the original. This thing had the duck when it got to the top of the stairs to get underneath that roof.
That's insane.
It's going to be, what, 9 feet?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it had to duck its head down to get underneath it. I bet you there's snakes still on these barns and snake skin sheds. In among all the old timber. He owns, that went with this place was 5,600 acres.
Wow.
There's Bald Mountains right over there. And he owned all the way up. There's your next mountain range right there. That's the other side of the canal.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Brian Gosselin is just one of those people you meet that has some of the wildest stories that you would ever hear. But at the same time, those stories couldn't be coming from a more credible person. There's something about the way that Brian carries himself that almost irradiates honesty. Since Brian's encounter in the 70s, he has definitely shaped the culture of the town of Whitehall, as they eventually grew to accept and appreciate the legend of Bigfoot. Brian has went on to create a Bigfoot research organization, and he has not only found some of the best evidence that you could ask for in a lifetime, but he has also went out of his way to debunk false claims or narratives. In our short time together, Brian comes off as incredibly humble, caring, and he had us laughing like we have never laughed before. He may deny the claims that he is a local legend, but in our hearts and many others, he is an icon. And all we can hope for is that the legacy is carried on and the search for this elusive creature from folklore is continued. Thank you guys so much for watching if you made it this far. We wanted to dedicate our season opener to sharing Brian's story and a small glimpse of what it's like to be a Bigfoot researcher. If you want to support Brian and his endeavors, please go purchase a copy of his book, which will be linked in the description. We have many amazing things coming this season, so stay tuned and as always, stay scared.